It's 9:30 on my cell phone. It must be. So I'd like to call the meeting, regular open meeting of the United Laguna Woods Mutual Board of Directors, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation. Today's date is January 14, Tuesday, 2025, at 9:30 a.m. in boardroom, and also we are virtually available in Laguna Woods Village Community Center, 24351 El Toro Road, Laguna Woods, California. We established quorum, so I am calling the meeting. The purpose of this meeting is to conduct the regular United Mutual Board meeting in accordance with Civil Code 4930 and was hereby noticed in accordance with Civil Code 4920. So we will have a pledge of allegiance to the flag by Director Prater is not here. Is there any volunteer to do it? Tom? Okay, thank you very much.
You join me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is there any media to be recognized this time? No. Okay. We are on TV6, right? And also we are being recorded by Granicus, and Zoom is available. I'd like to entertain the motion to approve the agenda. Is anybody who move? Okay, thank you.
To approve the agenda.
Any second? Okay. Maggie moved and Nancy seconded. Any objection? No objection, so approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of meeting minutes, December 9 and December 10, December 26. Is there any objection to approve as presented? Yes?
Madam Chair, I have a problem with the minutes for December the 10th. It does not properly reflect what happened at the meeting.
Okay. Is there any correction that you suggest?
Well, yeah, there's total omission here. If you look on number 5B, 12 of 22, at the bottom it says here, Director Liberatore commented and questioned the item in discussion. I didn't comment or question. I made a motion.
Okay.
And the motion was to, is covered under section 26 of R&R, 12th
Okay.
edition.
All right.
And that is, I object to the consideration of the question, and I stated that. That's not reflected in any way in these minutes, so I can't approve these minutes.
Okay, so how would you like to prove it?
Well, it has to be redone. If you go back and look at the video,
Okay.
it's very clear that there
Okay.
were, and not only that, but after I made that motion, and if you read section 26, you interrupt, there's no debate,
Okay.
there's no discussion, and it should go right to a vote. But a discussion was allowed,
Okay.
and that's, it just totally, was totally wrong, and it's not in any way held in these minutes. It just says I made a comment. I didn't make a comment, I made a motion.
Okay.
And if you read section 26 of Robert's Rules, which is our parliamentary authority,
Right.
a question was raised, I objected to the consideration of the question.
Okay, so can we just approve A and C without B? All right, Maggie?
What we do in this case is
No, she didn't.
we change Director Liberatore's line to say, Director Liberatore made a motion to stop consideration of the question. And that corrects the minutes.
Okay.
May
yes.
I add that we can make an amendment to the minutes here at the meeting, so that way you guys can approve the minutes as amended.
Right,
So I'll add that portion to it.
right.
Okay,
So that makes the minutes
all
correct.
right, okay.
But
Yes.
it doesn't make the minutes correct that a discussion was allowed to pursue. It was a direct violation of Section 26 of Robert's Rules.
That's correct, but our only question right now is to
Is
approve the minutes.
how to approve the minutes. So you are going to, okay, Tony, so are you going to, I mean, let us make it that way then. You have objection on December 10th minutes, so why don't we approve December 9th and 26th? You have no problem with that, right? Okay, so let us do that. Do we have any objection to approve the minute of December 9th and December 26th as stated?
Second.
No,
Okay, I'm asking the objection.
I move that we accept 5A and 5C.
Okay.
And retain B for discussion.
Okay. So, well, my question is, any objection to do it? So no objection, so it's been approved, A and C, fine. Okay, B, Tony, so what was your original motion? How would you proceed it? So you
Well,
just...
I made a motion.
Wait, I just made a motion. Is there a second?
No.
it.
I already asked no objection. Is there any objections? And no objections, so unanimously approved.
So there was already a
Yeah,
motion
right.
made that we accept A and C, and I missed saying,
Right.
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, Tony, so go ahead.
Well, the whole thing is that the secretary's notes are supposed to properly reflect what happened at the meeting. These don't.
Okay.
They don't reflect what happened. We know I made the motion, but then a discussion was allowed to happen. That was totally, it's just out of whack. So you just want to change some notes here, I don't know.
she didn't.
If you go back and look at the video, it's
So
very,
are
very
the
clear.
the entirety of those minutes incorrect, or is it just that portion you're talking about, Anthony?
Well, the whole dynamic of the meeting is that the question was raised that Section 26, that I resent the consideration of the question. That has to be raised. And then-
Okay, Secretary Pro Tem, Maggie, could you make a,
Okay,
statement, all right.
And then also, did Sue Quam make a motion?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think all three items, the last
Right,
three items are
right.
wrong.
Okay, go ahead, Maggie.
right. All we can do at this point is to correct the minutes. As to whether we have a further discussion at a different time or add it to a different agenda, that's a different question. All we are doing at this time is correcting the minutes.
Well, then the other question, did Sue Quam make a motion?
We don't think so.
Okay, Sue, raise a hand, since you mentioned about the Sue. Okay, Sue, can you speak, please?
Yes, I'm sorry, I don't.
We cannot hear you.
You can't hear me? Okay, let me try again.
There.
Okay, better.
Okay, is that better? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't recall if I did or not. We'd have to check the record. But I want to make sure that we don't make this mistake again. Would Anthony please state again, I missed that part. I know he said after some motion, we cannot have debate. So would you repeat, Director Liberatore, what that motion was? So we don't
I
make this
objected to consideration of the question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So Secretary, can you, Michaela, what is your suggestion?
Yeah, we have the video on Granicus, so I'll go back and rewatch it. And revise the minutes based on the video.
All right.
I
So-
apologize that there were errors, but moving forward, you guys do get the board packets in advance, so if you see errors in these minutes,
All right.
I would appreciate if you could email myself and Paul any revisions, so that way we could do it in advance instead of having to do it at the meeting.
Okay, thank you. So, Nancy?
Yeah. Just to succinctly sum up, I think you want to, Michaela, you want to look at the last three items on page 12 of 22 under item 5B on Granicus for your focus. Thank you.
Okay, then we are going to review the minutes of December 10th, 2024, and we will revisit next time. Is that okay?
I move that we do that.
Okay.
I move that we have staff reconsider and check the minutes and correct them according to the video.
I second.
Okay. Any objection? No objection. So approved that way. Thank you very much. Okay, report of chair. Well, Santa Ana winds are said to cause such a critical fire conditions over the last few weeks, and even we're expecting more across part of Los Angeles area. And this terrible situation all over the places, and we have so much concern as we acknowledge the profound impact of this devastating Los Angeles County fires and countless individuals and communities out through remaining with all those affected during the challenging time. We also express our deepest gratitude to the first responders, firefighters, law enforcement, and medical professionals who continue to work tirelessly to protect lives and property. And this serves as an important reminder for village residents to stay informed about local fires, events, or ensure they are prepared for any potential emergencies. I believe there will be some direction from the CEO and our VMS staff person also. And the first week that Santa Ana winds really began to blow very, very strongly during the nighttime, we witnessed some of the, fallen trees around our areas, so on. But and we got reported, and minor some the property damage. But fortunately, thankfully, that we did not have many, major disaster, and I think they are all being controlled. So I believe the Siobhan is going to give us some more reports on that. But during the town hall meeting last Friday, there were a lot of concerns, and many residents came over. Good attended audience and speakers in the room, and they share their concerns and their suggestions and etc. Not only that our the fire issue, so on, we also share some security concerns. There are so many incidents recently. The strange people come in our area. Apparently, they are not our residents and do some harms. And I know that some of our members are here to speak through our open forum today. So we need to be really vigilant and watch around, and if you see something, report. And also, we are going to talk as board members with the VMS staff and our security officers and try to take care of the issues as much as we can. Village Breeze magazine came up in January and February issue, and I've gone through it. On Friday it came out, so it must be delivered in your mailboxes, so please pick it up and read all the articles. They are very, very excellent. But one thing that I really ask your attention is the portion of the United Board of Directors section. And it's kind of lengthy article which is compiled by myself with the help of our finance department. We talk about the reason why. We have been communicating over and over. However, still, some of our members are concerned about our increase of assessment fees this year. And no one is happy, but it was very inevitable. So this article really summarizes details why we need to do it, and also This year, our priority is maintaining our fiscal accountability and transparency, so on, how residents could be the part of it. And we summarized whole year's schedule of financial matters such as audit process and budget process, so on. So please read the article, and I got several comments already. That article really summarizes very well, condensed whole thing. So you keep the volume all the time with you. If any resident ask those kind of concerns and questions, you can share yourself or have them to read it, okay? That's one of my suggestions. I believe that's about it. Oh, one more thing. During our new resident orientation last Wednesday, again, there were so many people, all this meeting, the field, and Maggie was the one who really assumed the leadership. She started present, but Jeannie, vice president, and myself and our treasurer, Charlie Prater, we were all there sharing informations and so on, and the residents really, really appreciate it. So it's quarterly orientation session. So I suggest if the name of the meeting was New Resident Orientation. We call NRO, but we decide not to really name the new resident. Everyone, even though you are old resident, you can always come in and you could collect a lot of helpful information, not only for the United Mutual, but also throughout the village lives. So it was very successful. Thank you, Maggie, and thank you, the rest of us who were there. Okay. Number 7 on the agenda, open forum. It is limited 3 minutes per speaker. At this time, members only may address the board of directors regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of this board of directors, which means United Mutual only. The board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted for the open forum to 30 minutes. A member may speak only once during the forum, and speakers may not give their time to other people. No audio or video recording by attendees, and no rude or threatening comments. And members can attend the meeting by joining the Zoom link, which is written on the agenda, or call 669-900-6833, or email meetings@vmsinc.org to have your message read during the open forum. Okay, is there any member
Yes,
on the
our
list? Okay.
first speaker is Imelda Aguilera.
Morning. I appreciate the chance to be here this morning and to.
Can you come close to the microphone, please?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's a privilege for me to be here today. And I want to say Happy New Year to everybody. We've been here, I inherited 529 from my father, who lived here for 40 years. So we're in second generation of paying HOA fees and being involved community members. And in February of 2024, the upstairs tenant's toilet leaked through our roof and contaminated with feces and mold and very disgusting toilet leak, which affected the unit and caused mold to cover all the windows and the leak to come through the ceiling. And it was from February of 2024 till August of 2024 to be remediated. The ceiling to be torn out and the cavity to be cleaned and everything. In that time, I had relocated, and my expenses came to over $16,000 on total loss for me. And I received a letter from AAA who told me that Laguna Woods is the primary, but that they would cover $11,261 of damages that I have receipts for. So that leaves me with a $5,000 deductible that did not get reimbursed by, that has not, that came out of my pocket. The reason I'm here today is because I would like to ask if the windows could get replaced in my unit, since the workman said you can't just clean. I said, what solution now that you've disinfected the ceiling, can I use this on the windows? And they said, no, it'll just come back. You have to replace these. So what I'm asking for is for the board to replace the windows in our unit and make me whole again.
Thank you. Did you all give all the information, your model number and all the
Yeah, I came,
procedures?
when
Okay.
I came here about 6 months ago with
Okay,
the
right.
whole folder, because the repairs were so delayed that until I came and requested, additional support to help me move forward in my life,
Okay.
the board stepped right in and resolved the matter that week. So
Okay.
everything was done. So the folder is somewhere
All right.
about the damage and the mold in the ceiling and all the photographs
Okay.
and now the drama. But that's what, I'm just trying to not go.
Okay.
People said, or do you want to sue Laguna Woods? I said, no, I just want
Thank
to cooperate. and
Okay.
see
Thank you.
if I
Time's
can
up,
get any
and
help.
Siobhan and she will, follow up and let you know. Okay.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you so
Thank you
much for coming. Okay, next speaker.
Next speaker is Dory Newman.
Okay.
Hi,
Hello.
everyone. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak to each of you today. I'm here because there are so many things that do go on in the village that many of us are not aware of, some of us are. And I truly believe that even though we have a great security team here, we need to have somebody or a team supporting them. I truly believe we do need a neighborhood. We have earthquake preparedness. We have other teams. We do need a neighborhood watch, I think, program here where residents can actually, you see something, say something, because so many people are afraid to speak up. We heard this at the town hall meeting last week, and I actually helped start one of the first neighborhood watch programs, which was so successful that then became around the country in the community I used to live in, which is up in the foothills where the fires are burning, unfortunately, now. But was so successful that every community around us started one. Because sometimes security is so spread thin, we don't have enough people to speak up and help in those areas. We all were trained by our sheriff's department, by our own security team, and we also learned, even CPR, which is part of maybe earthquake preparedness or healthcare. But sometimes we do need others to be aware of what's going on around us. We've had an incident in an area where I live twice. One was a few months ago. We had the security, the sheriffs, the helicopters up. The same person came yesterday morning. And how does he get into the Laguna Woods? But the thing is, someone could just walk by and say, oh, he's doing this. He must be a resident. Let's just forget it. We can't forget those things. The first person had a spear in his hand, and he was throwing it at nighttime. That was considered a weapon. Yesterday morning, he had a huge rock in his hand, and he didn't have a spear, but he had a like a 5-foot almost round metal pipe in his hand, and he kept throwing it. We have like a grassy area in front of us. He kept throwing it and running at it. Then he was kicking his heels up and everything. But when he saw me on the phone calling security, I guess he didn't know who I was calling, but I think he suspected it. He disappeared. He ran. But a lot where we live, we're very, very vulnerable to molten, where the horse trails are. And I have learned, too, from even the sheriff's department, that's one of the areas that security really sometimes has to do a lot of patrolling, because that's one of the areas that some of the people do get in. I'm hearing now they're coming in from the Aliso Creek area, and security can't be in every single spot all the time. So therefore, I'm asking that if we can start a neighborhood watch program, I would be happy to help start it and, start doing, come up with a training plan. If you would all consider that, not just for me in our area, but for all of Laguna Woods.
Thank
And
you
for
very
all of you.
much. Thank
So
you.
thank
We
you.
will consider that. That is very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dory. And next person.
Next speaker is Miles Pruitt.
Good morning, members of the board.
Good morning.
Thank you all for volunteering. I know this must take a lot of your time up.
Yes.
So my name is Miles Pruitt. I live at 191D. And so I live down near Aliso Creek. And the reason I'm coming to speak to you today here is we're having a lot of crime issues in my area. Specifically, the homeless people are coming in somehow. As Dory just mentioned, we're not really sure exactly how they're getting in, but we've been having this problem a lot. My neighbors almost every night are either getting their bikes stolen, their wagons. I mean, I would say anything that's not nailed down, but even things that are nailed down, they're bringing in bolt cutters. So this just isn't in just a sort of a nuisance every once in a while. It's almost every night we're being inundated by the homeless. As you may or may not know, there's just outside of Laguna Woods jurisdiction, there's a homeless encampment on the creek. So the sheriff's department's aware of this, and they come in and they do what they do. It's, they'll come in and they'll move them and they'll go somewhere else, but they're not going far. But they seem to prey on Laguna Woods. They feel that we're an easy spot to come in and get whatever it is that they're going to get. And they get to basically come and go, I think, with a high degree of impunity. As I say, I don't know how they're getting in. Maybe the security director would be able to discuss that in more detail, what his thoughts are. The sheriff's department's given me some ideas about what they think. I've met with the chief of security, talked about these issues in the past. And the reason I'm here today is, so last week at about 8:45 in the morning, I saw a gentleman I called him a gentleman, I saw an individual on my front patio attempting to get my electric bike. I walked out on my patio, confronted him. He ran. We ended up in a tussle. I have a black eye as a result. He hit me in the eye. So I'm healthy enough to sustain that kind of thing. But my neighbors are in their 90s.
Yeah.
A lot of single elderly women. They're terrified. And they can't just move away. They can't just say, well, Laguna Woods is no longer a safe place to live. I'm going to move. I don't know what the answer is, but it reminds me of the LA County fires. Like the residents and the people are telling you the reservoirs are dry and the equipment doesn't work.
Right.
And so I don't really think we need to wait till the whole place is set on fire before we do something. I think this is a good time for a plan to be put together.
Thank
and
you.
I know that resources are always stretched. But one of the things, we all come here to be in this safe little bubble, this neighborhood called Laguna Woods. And we all enjoy all the amenities. But we can't enjoy those amenities if the number one priority, which is security, if we feel unsafe.
Thank you. Yes, our security department head is here, good thing, and operation officer. So, okay, your time's up, and thank you.
Thank
We
you.
will consider it. Thank you very much for sharing your experience.
Next speaker is Roberta Burke.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I can see I've been out of whack for too long since COVID, and then my husband was ill, and I am here basically for myself and for the general area that I live in. I think that I could be a good part of any kind of group get-together to come up with some solutions. But I hope that you listen carefully to what it is that I am requesting. After living here for 25 years, I have been forced to come here and request the installation of an outdoor light working with all walking lights on the western wall of 933B, a Casa Linda on the creek. It is the very last unit on the Laguna Woods property line, close to the Down Creek gate, that's towards Moulton, that goes across the water, the gate that goes across the water to designate the end of Laguna Woods Village. It has been a very isolated, dark, fairly unknown area to most. There have been very high trees and bushes on 3 sides of the property. One side holding back a dirt slope, one side hiding a runoff that goes into the creek, and the third side hiding the end of the regular creek running as it approaches the gate going across this creek. On the 4th side, many years ago, we created an enclosed patio off our bedroom. Months ago, I awoke at 2 a.m., went into the glass room, and saw a man sitting on the bench outside that room.
Oh, no.
When I turned on the light, he fled. Security came and placed a camera on a tree in this big, tremendous, open, dark area and informed me that we had a problem with intruders and homeless people. Now, after 25 years, this came as a surprise, you know. It was the first time I was uncomfortable living here and requested a light outside from just shining on this open area from M&C. I was told to come to this board meeting and make the request because there is no program for those kinds of lights. Since my request to M&C, having nothing to do with this incident, this past week, the 30 feet of bushes, 30 feet high and 60 long, that was holding back the slope. There's a slope that goes up to other homes in back of me, but we couldn't see anything because the bushes have been so high, and anyone in that area or going to those homes saw nothing also. They couldn't see down. Having all those bushes, 60 feet by 30 feet, have been removed, leaving any residents and their family members a great place visually accessible for fun jumping on the slope. Sadly, at night, and teenagers who come to visit do these kind of things, sadly at night.
Can you summarize it? Time's up.
My time's up?
Yeah. Can you summarize it and finish it?
Well, what I'm asking for, because now it's
Yeah.
all open and these kids can see it easily, and people coming to do no good can now get to, they can see to get to a totally enclosed area of the runoff.
Okay.
And they cannot be seen by me, they can't be seen by security, and I'm requesting that light,
Okay.
which the house above me has had for 25 years that I'm living there.
Okay.
So it isn't an unusual request.
All right.
But I would like to say, please,
Yeah. Okay.
that I haven't been down there in a number of years,
Okay.
but where the gates are by the creek, anybody can come in on the sides. They talk about them coming in underneath. They don't necessarily come in underneath, and you can't put any barbed wire there. It was taken off when I moved here because the dirt that flows down the creek when it rains gets all caught up in the barbed wire and the water backs up instead of going out to the ocean.
Okay.
So anything that you're going to do,
Yes.
I really would have, at that area, I really would appreciate someone talking to me. I was the only eyes and ears for a very long time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much. All right. More
Next speaker is Christine.
Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
I would like to know where our disaster or evacuation plan is. I went on our website, and our website states that it's a well-rehearsed disaster preparation task force. And when you click any link, it takes you to, oops, wrong page. That's for Emergency Operations Center Activation Guide link says, oops. And then when you click on the other link, it takes you to club notices. So, because of the fires, I would like to know what the plan is, where it is, so that I can discuss it with some of my older neighbors. We're in a gated community, therefore, if there is a fire, how do we get out? I mean, what do we do and how do we get out?
Okay, thank you. All right.
Okay?
Wait,
The other
yeah.
question that I have is, with the fires, is each united building fully insured if it burns down?
Okay. We'll give you a response. All right, thank you. Any other question?
That's it?
Thank you.
Okay.
We go
Yeah.
through and then.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
After your,
Okay.
speech.
Also, this was talked about in the last meeting, the pod that is at the 303 building.
Right.
It's been there for months, and I saw almost 2 accidents.
Okay.
I know that it's
Right.
because of a problem, but it's bad. It needs to be taken care of, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any more speakers?
Last speaker is Janet Diaz.
Good morning. I wanted to discuss or just get an update on Resolution 101, 2282. United Governing Page states that felons are not allowed to live in our community. And also in the Village Breeze, March, April 2023 also states that. But if you go to Megan's Law, it states that we have 11 sex offenders living in Laguna Woods. 1 is in violation currently, and I inquired about this last year, and I'd like to find out who is allowing them to move into our area, and currently, if that's going to continue.
Okay, thank you. Right, Siobhan, do you have any response to those speakers?
I would like to start by calling up Security Director Nunez. He can address
Okay.
security measures, the evacuation plan,
Okay.
and Megan's Law.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam President.
Welcome.
And members of the board. Yeah, I will tell you that last week when I heard Mr. Pruitt, who actually is a former colleague in law enforcement, so I know he knows better than most, the importance of public safety, and as he stated, he has met with me previously to discuss some of the issues that not only him, but his neighbors really that have been dealing with intruders, trespassers coming in to our property, which does happen. That number has been reduced. We keep an active log on that for violations of trespassing. And part of the reason why it has been reduced is because of the development of a relationship that we have with the Sheriff's Department, that where before we would wind up detaining somebody that was a trespasser, they would simply come here and they'd say, well, we are the ones that have to admonish them of trespassing, not you. And they're under this belief, and that we're going to admonish them about trespassing, but they would do nothing with that person and let them go. And it's not until the second time where they've dealt with somebody that had been admonished, by them, would they ever attempt to make an arrest or a citation or do something of an enforcement nature. So when I met with the captain, who is the chief of services, Laguna Woods, at the time, it was somebody different. It's now Captain Allday, and brought this up. And I said, truth is we can make a citizen's arrest if we want to do that as security ourselves and detain them, and then you have to by law accept that citizen's arrest. And much like I think Mr. Pruitt Miles was going to do when that guy showed up at his house last week and he attempted to contact that person and detain him, and he took off, and then he went in foot pursuit after the guy, and was probably going to detain him for the sheriff's department to get there and have place him under citizen's arrest, I imagine, or at least try to get him identified, right? But I know that that matter's under investigation, and I don't have all the details on that one, but other than what we've been told. But and just so you know, in that case, me, and my administrative supervisor, a guy named Aaron Kennedy, a couple months before they had a situation, we walked out and then went across the street from the creek, which is not our property, and really we don't have any jurisdiction, and we're not covered by our insurance to take any enforcement action, out there. But we walked out there because we'd been told there was a homeless encampment, as Mr. Miles had, Mr. Pruitt had told you, on just the other side of the street. So we walked out there, we located it, and then as we located it, we were just making notes on it, and we were going to report that to the sheriff's department. We ran into a gentleman, and so somebody that had been on our property before. So we went ahead and snapped a photograph of him and took his information. Even he had a bicycle with him, and it wasn't necessarily a great-looking bike, but we felt like it probably wasn't his anyways. But we took the serial number down, took a picture of that bike, and then we met with the investigators and told them, hey, this is the guy we believe is coming onto our property. This was him. This is his bike. Well, based on the footage that Mr. Pruitt was able to get from, I believe it was him, from the Ring camera or some sort of surveillance camera, we were able to believe we identified that guy as the same guy. So we went back to the detectives and told them, I said, hey, listen, here's a video of this, and we know who this guy is. It's a guy that you guys actually arrested at least once for warrants and for possession of stolen property. And this is him, and we believe he's the guy that assaulted Mr. Pruitt. And so they actually have his name. I'm not sure where they are in that case. Obviously, it's a criminal matter, and so they're handling that. But they definitely have an identified named suspect in the assault, and what looks like he was, being casing to steal some more property. The truth is although when we were first notified about the gates not being up at the creek on the north end, they had already been replaced on the south end. We put a camera up, what they called, a field camera up there so that we could monitor anybody coming through there. And we look at it, and it's been up there for several months. And other than animal life, we haven't gotten anybody that's gone through that area, at least. On the north end, we don't have one set up, but we're working on that. And they did replace the gates up there and secured them. And so that's part of the target hardening, if you will, of the area. But it's still a porous border. It always has been. It's a little bit difficult to make it completely, where you can't get in. And I've told the board this before, that you could build a lock that nobody could defeat, but then no one could open it either. And that's the only way you could build a lock that you can't defeat. And so we can make a place that's pretty well fortified. I think one of the things that I did express to Mr. Pruitt, and actually a few of his neighbors and a lot of neighbors outside of the United, even in Third, is that with their help and doing what they do, and I think the idea of the neighborhood watch was one of those things, was being an extra set of eyes and ears, reporting that, but to immediately, when you see somebody suspicious, when you see something that doesn't look right, immediately not only call us, but call the sheriff's department. I mean, they're the ones that are going to investigate the crime. They're the ones that are going to actually arrest these people if there's something that that's arrestable. and try to stay out of harm's way by doing so, and let them, take whatever comes that way from the people that are here, illegally. I was trying to look up the guy with the spear only because I remember there was a gentleman with the spear, but he actually wound up being related and was invited by one of the members here and was on here there. So I don't know if it's the same event that we're talking about. And I think he was eventually, the one guy that we had was detained by the Orange County Sheriff's Department. And I think it was what they call 5150 of the Welfare Institutions Code. He was not mentally able to take care of himself or was a harm to others, and was taken for at least 3 days for observation for that. And so the gates have been put up, like I said. We've had extra patrol checks. What we're really doing is trying to work with the Sheriff's Department to do even a better job of doing more patrol in our area. This is, even though it's a private property, it's their area as well to patrol. And we've seen them out there a little bit more. We've had our folks out in those areas that, but it's not just, like you said, somebody had said, it's not just the flood control, where obviously there has to be some room under the gates to get water and debris to go underneath there. And if you wanted to, you could crawl underneath there, I imagine, or crawl over. But it's also the side up on the side, because these, it's accessible for our folks. It's accessible to anybody else that would be leaving the property. So we have people up, on those areas, just monitoring that areas, and like I said, with whatever it takes for us to do, I think Mr. Pruitt is correct. I mean, it is priority, and we have to treat it like that. And we're reassessing our, what our needs are based on what the needs are of the community in terms of what our needs are for staffing and all that. Currently, we're working with the appropriate, level of staffing, because it's been brought out that it's, it's a 4 square mile property, and we have like 15 gates that, have access, and those are just gates that, cars can go through. We have a lot of areas where pedestrians can get through. We actually go around the entire perimeter. It takes us about 9 days to go through the entire perimeter looking for breaches, is what we call them. And then we mark them up, usually with yellow tape, to let our sidewalk and streets and sidewalk people know that there has to be a repair done, because there's either what they do sometimes is on the barbed wire, they put something like a carpet or something on top of it and mash it down, and they're able to get over the barbed wire, or they cut holes in a chain link fence. So whenever we come across that, we mark it with yellow tape, tell them where it's at. We do what they call a SSR, and we make a service request for them to repair that. And then, so every 9 days, we're going around the entire property and the entire perimeter checking for that. So we're constantly vigilant, of breaches that are happening within our perimeter, and they happen. Unlike, I guess, the fire that are going on, and that was mentioned, where they actually had, people reporting things and not doing anything about it. We are actually trying to do some things about it. Obviously, we're not going to be successful in keeping everyone out, and that's, we hope that would be the goal. But the more difficult we make it, hopefully they'll move on to somewhere that's less difficult. And I can tell you by the crime rates that are surrounding our area, you would know that they are definitely going to other neighborhoods and committing the same or more crimes in Laguna Hills and Mission Viejo and Lake Forest. And it's not just us. And then they're committing more violent crimes in those areas as well. But it is shocking that we'd have a suspect, I would call him, you know, and I would, you know, and as Mr. Pruitt said, you know, he called him a gentleman, but he said, you know, a subject, an individual. But it is shocking that somebody like that, you know, would actually strike one of our residents, you know, in trying to get away. But, you know, we can't have that, you know, and we've told this Sheriff's Department. I believe they're on it, and I know that they have a, you know, like I said, a suspect identified. I don't know if they have him in custody yet, but they know exactly who this person is.
Thank
you. And we'll be able to, you know, make a further arrest. And in terms of the EOC and the, I'll have to look on the website for that. It was working, I know, because we reviewed all that before we launched to make sure it was making connections. So I don't know what happened, but, you know, the plan is on there. The plan is currently under revision right now with Jacob Green and Associates. They're working on that. We did a plan that was a gap analysis between what the city is required to do for us and what we're then left with, and seeing what we can do to supplement that. It wasn't to take over the responsibility of our operational area, who handles emergency services coordination, but it was certainly to supplement that. And we know that in terms of evacuations, they are actually in charge of evacuations, and they would be contacting us to let us know where the evacuation points would be. And that's a fluid, dynamic situation where we would get that information and then either, you know, assist them in helping with making notification to our residents and where to go for those evacuation points. And they change, especially with fires, because they are so, like I said, it's a very dynamic situation depending on the winds and where it starts. You know, I had worked the Laguna fires as a police officer back in the 90s, and I can tell you that our emergency operations center, initially our command center, was one place one night, and there was another place the other night, and then we moved it again for a third night, you know, because of the movement of the fires. So those things we wouldn't know until they were going to notify us and tell us what the evacuation plan is for the whole community and the surrounding area.
Okay. Thank you. Question?
Can I ask him a question?
No, not at this time. Yeah, this is just, the comment. Okay, Shiban.
I just wanted to respond to the insurance question as well. United has full replacement value policies up to a limit of $225 million, and this is based on modeling for wildfire protection from the insurance broker that we use.
Okay. Any more comment? You know, this is not question and answer session. You had a comment. If you have a question further, then we will contact you. Please leave your name and your model number. So yeah, it's not a question and answer session.
The only comment,
Yes.
only thing I would like to add is that we would obviously continue to work with the neighbors on that. And I mentioned this to Mr. Pruitt too, is that all of our neighbors within the community really truly are force multipliers, because we actually had that we notified Laguna Woods, City of Laguna Woods Council about it, and we were advised that's actually Laguna Hills. You need to contact Laguna, Hills City Council and their folks about that. And so I, pass this information on that, because we know that if one person shows us a council meeting when we, that the council hears that, and certainly if there's a group of folks that are saying, hey, this is a bad situation here, you guys need to do something about it. And we would do the same thing as the security department too, is attend those kinds of meetings. And so what we did is we reached out to them behind the scenes and told them that, hey, listen, we're dealing with this situation. We have photographs. The sheriffs know about it. And so we went by there right after the assault occurred on Mr. Pruitt. I was actually in another board meeting at the time, but I had my command staff go out there and then go out to the actual encampment, which is, like he had mentioned, had moved. Where they go, they may come back, but at least, we got some help through the city to have that place and the sheriff's department to have them remove that camp.
Okay,
Thank you, Eric.
thank you. More response? No response. You have a response?
The
Georgiana?
only thing I was going to say, in addition to the insurance question, is that we have a $100,000 deductible. So if you have insurance, some type of insurance on your place, then the reason it's a higher deductible than it was is insurance costs have gone through the roof. So we raised the deductible to $100,000. And so if you're not covered for that amount, you need to correct that with your insurance company. And all insurers don't offer that. I changed companies and I went to AAA to get the $100,000 deductible, and it maybe cost me $36 more a year or something. So it's not a high cost thing, but certainly helped us save on these escalating insurance costs.
Right, thank you. Any comment? Nancy?
Right, relative to the security issue, the other thing is I think people talked about lighting, so that should be in the toolbox too, because we have notoriously bad lighting. And these motion detectors I've noticed some people put on the roof or solar powered are great, because there's nothing like lighting to deter someone from doing something naughty.
Yeah, I was just back there talking to the Director of Operations, Carlos Rojas, and we were talking about the lighting when that comment came up and seeing if what we can do and working with other departments to facilitate that.
Thank you. All right, yes, Tom?
Yeah, I'd like to say, I think Christine asked if we were fully insured, and we are not fully insured. We have our value is $1.8 billion in buildings, and we're insured for $225 million. So that would constitute roughly 100 buildings burning down before we reach that 225 million, but we are not fully insured. It would be cost prohibitive.
All right, thank you. All right, response to past open forum speakers. Director Liberato, do you have a response? Please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes. Well, first we had a foundation update, and then we went to Paul Dye, Susan Reed from 838A. They spoke about an excavation project and tile replacement billing. They were charged with the labor that they had no control over. Maintenance staff reached out to the residents and then let them know that they had the option to request a meet and confer. And Fanny Khan of 2073C, she was disputing a chargeable service for cleaning up the oil spill in her carport. Her request to waive the bill was previously denied. However, staff let her know that she can ask for an appeal. And Luis Pampuro, 718D, she is disputing a bill regarding a roof leak inspection. Two men came to her place, went to look at the issue, and were told that it was not an HOA responsibility. And staff reached out to her to let her know that she no longer qualifies for an appeal, but she can request a meet and confer. Sharon Ra, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, 795D. Her mother purchased the unit, but put it in her name. And Ms. Ra is upset that her mother has to pay $160 every year annual fee, and she asking to inquire about a waiver. She is advised to request a meet and greet, a meet and confer, to ask the United Board to see if they will grant her a waiver. Finally, Claudia Gray, 428A. She talked about a safety concern about, as we were discussed earlier, this pod that was placed near her area. Staff reached out to her, Mrs. Gray, to provide her information with regards to the placement of the pod and the determination that it is not posing any risk to her or hazard. That's the extent of my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Tony. All right, our next item on the agenda is CEO report.
Thank you, Honorable President. Before I get into my planned report for this morning, I wanted to update the board on the windstorm and its impacts on United. Fortunately, we fared very well so far in the winds. We attribute this largely to, am I done? Yes, it is, sorry. We attribute this largely to diligent tree maintenance within the mutual. Specifically in United, one tree had to be removed by in-house staff. There was one large fallen tree that was removed by our contractor. There were 9 tree issues which involved hanging branches. The branches were subsequently trimmed and resulted in no property damage. I do want to remind our residents of our Code Red emergency alert system. This is the system VMS uses if there's an emergency in the village. It contacts residents by phone, email, and text messages, assuming that those numbers are on file with us. Residents are encouraged to register for Code Red using the Code Red icon in the lower right-hand corner on the village website's homepage. So again, if you're not registered for Code Red, we do encourage all residents to register for that system. This morning, I wanted to focus on sharing an update on our 2024 resident satisfaction survey. This survey focus is on our strategic plan goal, which is to provide exceptional service. This, like any other goal, requires a clear and reliable means to measure progress and success. The VMS board formed an ad hoc committee to consider various measurement tools of this goal and recommended conducting a satisfaction survey of our residents. These survey objectives include measuring satisfaction with VMS services, identifying areas for improvement, having a constant, consistent, comparative way to measure results over time. We want to build confidence in the results among residents and staff and enhance alignment of resident expectations and our organizational goals moving forward. The survey period was November 12th to November 30th, 2024. The survey could be completed online or via paper. Paper surveys were available at all of our community facilities, including here in the lobby, the village library, all the clubhouses, and so forth. The survey was promoted by What's Up in the Village, 4 different editions, the Village Breeze in November and December issue, and we received leadership support from GRF, the Housing Mutual presidents, and our club presidents. In terms of response rate, our response rate was 3%, which may have been influenced by the requirement that an ID number be submitted. While this measure ensures survey integrity by confirming residency and preventing duplicate submissions, this may discourage participation due to lack of anonymity. In total, 6.8% of submissions were rejected due to an invalid or missing ID number. This chart shows satisfaction by length of residency. You will see the above average satisfaction score of 3.5 highlights an opportunity for further improvement toward achieving the goal of exceptional service. This survey results provide guidance for targeted efforts, and satisfaction trends based on residency length suggests an opportunity to better engage with our long-term residents. Lower satisfaction levels, if you could go back to the prior slide, please. Lower satisfaction levels among our longer-term residents may stem from evolving expectations or comparisons to previous service standards. On the next slide, please. This chart reflects residents' overall satisfaction by mutual. Residents in all housing mutuals demonstrate similar satisfaction levels. On the next slide, we measure satisfaction by function Events and sports, leisure, and amenities ranked very high on the left-hand side of the slide. The functional areas in need of improvement on the right-hand side of the slide include building maintenance and landscaping. On the next slide, we show communication satisfaction by mutual. And again, it's pretty consistent across the mutuals. The next slide shows how residents rely on communications here in the village. Residents primarily rely on email, the Village Breeze, and the Laguna Woods Globe for their information. On the next slide, in terms of digital versus paper surveys, out of the 800 paper surveys that were delivered to the various facilities, 76 hard copy surveys were returned. The remainder were done online digitally. And there are little differences in satisfaction levels between those who filled out surveys digitally and the paper respondents, as you'll see on the slide to the right. In terms of satisfaction levels between those who submitted digitally and those who submitted via paper, the satisfaction is pretty consistent with the exception of security and maintenance, which have small differences between digital and paper respondents. With respect to communication on the next slide, there's little difference between those who submitted digitally and via paper in terms of communication satisfaction. On the next slide, this slide shows, again, how the two different respondent types receive their information here in the village. The key distinction is that paper respondents are less likely to use digital communication channels. In terms of considerations for future surveys, future VMS surveys should focus on maintaining data reliability and providing actionable insights. Recommendations include retaining the ID requirement to ensure data accuracy and prevent duplicate responses, utilizing the hybrid format to balance cost considerations with inclusivity, scheduling surveys earlier in the year to align with strategic and budget planning processes, and determining the best way to reach our non-English speakers. And that concludes my update this morning. I do want to mention that the full survey report is available on the website under the News tab, and it is featured in the current Village Breeze. Thank you.
Thank you. Any question for Siobhan? Tom?
Sue Quam online, I believe.
Oh, okay. Sue, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you. Could we go back to the slide that listed maintenance, landscape, security, that sort of thing, where the ratings for satisfaction? And is that for United or is it for all of Laguna Woods Village?
This is for the whole village, Sue.
Yes.
Okay, can we go back to that slide and pull it up?
Sure, it's about the fourth or fifth slide. One more. Thank you. It's on the screen,
There,
Sue.
that's the one. So I'm dismayed that landscaping is at 2.9 and building maintenance and repairs at 3.4. And I'd like to know whether that's funding or the services that they currently receive. I just fear that we're not putting enough into.
There are a number of factors that can contribute to that. As we mentioned, longer-term residents have seen a decline in the funding associated with landscaping. Before VMS was on board, PCM had very high funding levels, and then they cut them in about 2014. And so since then, we've been at a lower level of funding, but there are a number of different factors, and we'll be happy to discuss those with you at the Landscaping Committee.
Oh, thank you very much. I just wanted to highlight this as we go into future budget discussions where things might need to be looked at.
Thank you. Oh, do you have a question?
I would like to make a suggestion too.
Yeah.
There's a lack of oversight when we do projects, and that has become, I believe, a very big issue, because if there's no oversight, there's nobody to say, hey, you know, you didn't do this, maybe you should do that. And things happen in this community that are serious, and Nobody comes. If you bring in outside contractors, who's watching them? Who's seeing to it that they're doing the job they're supposed to? So I really
Okay.
believe that oversight is one issue. And another issue, as a very long-term member
Well,
in this community.
thank you very much. This is not answer and
That's
question
the
and answer
problem.
question. So why
There
don't
you
you,
go.
yeah, why don't you write down and
No,
then
I don't
and
want
give
to
it
write
to
that.
us?
I'm a person and these are people.
Okay.
And something gets lost. It's like playing telephone.
All right.
You write it down, they read it, then they tell you.
We
I'm
got the
really
point.
sorry, but it's
Maggie?
a very big
Yes,
issue
please.
today.
Maggie? Yes.
This is not the time.
When is the time, honey? They're not allowing us anymore.
Landscaping committee meeting.
No. For a specific
Point of
thing.
order.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm not
We
talk-
don't take member comments.
Point of order.
Yes.
In the middle of this report. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead.
Thank you.
All right. No more question. All right, let's go
I had a
on.
question.
Oh, you do? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you. Okay.
Okay, with only a 3% response,
Yes.
how much weight do you give this data?
We have a whole discussion as to the benefits of a voluntary survey. If you read the report itself, we think it provides beneficial data in as much as we know where we need to improve. We know through the comments that the residents made of various concerns. So we do think it was a valuable effort. And again,
and
all that
how-
detail is in that
And what was
report.
the cost of doing this survey?
They were minute, only the cost.
cost?
The only cost was printing the surveys.
I'm sorry, I can't quite hear
The
you.
only cost was printing the surveys. The rest was done by a VMS board member who took it upon himself to correlate and analyze all the data.
This is not a criticism. This is just looking forward in the future
Okay.
for what maybe we can do to help get a greater percentage of response, but being a numbers person,
Right.
you know, a 3% response doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence in data. And it has to cost, you know, people's time that did it, and, you know, there's a cost. And so if we could
And
make
again-
that same cost, produce maybe 50% response, you know, us in the future, if we could do that, I think it would be much more meaningful.
Thank you. All right. Maggie, did you have a question or comment?
No, I have a statement.
Okay.
I think people here do not respond. We only get 20% on the ballots for voting for directors. If they think they might be on a list because they respond, they're not going to respond. Or they're too busy. They're happy here, they're busy doing things. But so we can do these things and take a little bit of notice and take a suggestion. But these do not guide how we must work. Because our people are not telling us how we must work. Our maintenance tells us how we must work. Our landscape tells us what we must pay for what service. So a survey is a good point. We can take some guidance from it, but that is not the law. We have to determine in our committees what these services must be.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, move on. Next item on the agenda, number 10, consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are recommended for action by committee and will be enacted by the board by one motion. In the event that an item is removed from consent calendar by members of the board, such item shall be the subject of further discussion and action by the board. All right, so we have A through 6 items. Is there any motion to abstract any item from the consent calendar? No? Okay, hearing none, the consent calendar is being approved as is. Unfinished business, item number 11. A, entertain a motion to approve United Energy Subcommittee Charter. 11A. Okay, there is a resolution, I believe. So Maggie, can you please read the 11A, page 3 of 6.
It's page 3 of 6.
Right.
Energy Task Force Subcommittee Charter, hang on. Whereas on November 12, 2024, the Board of Directors considered and approved the formation of an Energy Task Force Subcommittee pursuant to Articles 8, Section 1 and Section 2 of the bylaws of this corporation, and whereas the Board of Directors also designated the Energy Task Force Subcommittee report to the GRF Maintenance and Construction Committee, and whereas the Board of Directors may appoint 2 or more united directors to serve on the Energy Task Force Subcommittee, and whereas the Energy Subcommittee will advise and develop strategic recommendations for consideration by the GRF Maintenance and Construction Committee and the Board of Directors, and whereas the duties and responsibilities of the Energy Subcommittee include, 1, perform the duties imposed on all advisory committees as established in the United Bylaws, 2, work and coordinate with staff departments and united committees to understand and resolve impacts of Energy Task Force Subcommittee recommendations, 3, receive reports from staff and monitor United Mutual's solar production activities. 4, work and coordinate with staff departments and united committees to review and develop electric vehicle charging options. Now therefore be it resolved January 14th of 2025 that the Board of Directors and this corporation hereby approves the Energy Task Force Subcommittee Charter, and resolve further that officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move this resolution.
Is there any second? Second. Okay, Nancy seconded. Yes, question, discussion, Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make an amendment, and the amendment is to remove the word task
Okay.
force from this resolution.
Is there any second to the amendment? Tom? Okay, any discussion for the amendment? Tony, can you explain amendment?
Well, the concept of task force, again, is not dealt with in Davis Sterling nor in Robert's rules. And we use it here to staff to run groups that are dedicated. For instance, we have a disaster preparedness task force. It's run by staff, and we have Director Nunes, in charge of that. So I think that task force, that name task force belongs to VMS, and that should be included in our resolution. That's not necessary. It's redundant, I guess. And it's not dealt with by Davis Sterling, nor is it dealt with by Robert's rules. Thank you.
All right, so amendment is to remove the task force.
I
Maggie?
second the amendment.
Oh,
I
she
believe
already got-
Director Tuning seconded.
Yeah, she already, he
Did
already did.
Yes.
So,
Okay, thank you.
okay, we are ready to move, we're ready to vote for the amendment.
I'm sorry, clarification on what we're voting, what's the...
Oh, okay, the resolution, the title here, Energy Task Force Subcommittee Charter, we are removing the word task force. So it's going to be Energy Subcommittee Charter, right? That's the amendment, right?
Yeah, I do have it on here on the minutes I have it redlined
Right.
to remove the word task force
Okay.
on this resolution.
All right. Okay, any comment? Manuel? Right.
Thank you. Thank you, members of the board. I just want to point out to the board the other item, if you wish to do so today, is to appoint the members that you wish to serve on this energy subcommittee.
Okay, thank you. Now, are we ready to vote for amendment? Would you like to vote yes to the amendment?
That is the removal of the words task force.
Right.
Call for vote.
All right. Let us vote.
Sue, can we have your vote, please? Okay, she voted yes.
Okay. Excuse me, I'm not getting anything here.
You have to use your mouse. You have a mouse there?
Actually,
There you go.
but yes.
Yeah, yes, okay. It's been approved. All right, amendment is approved. So we go back to the main motion.
Right.
Are we ready to vote for approving the resolution 0125 with amendment?
Madam President, I have my hand up on that. So would you call on me at some point?
Okay, thank you. All right. So did you approve the other one amendment? Right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. All right.
Is it okay for me to talk now?
No. The motion is on the floor. We are ready to vote for the main motion, all right? So, yes.
and
Yeah,
I'd like
it's a
to s-
discussion item that Sue wants to discuss
Yeah,
now.
okay, right. So there is a
Yes.
motion and seconded. So, yes, discussion, Sue. Can you talk?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, according to what we have, we can only put the number of advisors as to the number of board representatives. And I'm unclear as to how many people there will be, because is this a third, a GRF
No.
and United? Because it's under the GRF maintenance. So how many members are there really?
No resolution. The third phrase is that whereas the board of directors may appoint 2 or more United directors to serve on the energy subcommittee. So the board members will be there, not just advisors.
I understand that. You're supposed to match the number, you can match up to the number of advisor or board members. So my concern is that we have very few people who really understand this on our boards. And I think we need to get outside experts who are our members or perhaps beyond that to participate in this. So
Well,
if we only
according,
have 2,
generally speaking, according to our governance, we can have the advisors not more than number of the committee members. So we could have some advisors who has expertise and ideas, so on, right? Right, Manuel? Yes. Okay. So let's vote to vote for the resolution, passing the resolution 0125XX. Can you vote now?
Sue, can we have your vote, please?
no.
Sue?
No? Okay.
Sue is no, okay. All right, 8-1. Oh,
Okay.
all right.
Already on.
Vidya voted yes, so 9-1, it's passed. Thank you. So are we ready to recommend the committee members here? That's Manuel's suggestion. What do you think? No. Any volunteers? Okay, if not, yes, Tony?
Yes, this solar thing and energy thing is complicated.
Right.
And for whatever it's worth, if you need somebody, I'll volunteer for it.
Okay, Tony's volunteers. One more person? Tom? I'm just appointing. Tom, right? I'm appointing. Okay, he's smiling, so, okay. Okay, all right, so now we are recommending Tom and Tony. So are we ready to vote or just approve it?
We don't.
Right, we don't have to, right. And we have some advisors, potential advisors already express their interest to me. So we will probably meet with them and make them and try to appoint a committee as soon as possible. Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to the next agenda item. entertain a motion to approve the revision to the resale inspection fees procedure and December initial notification, 28-day notification for member review and comment to comply with Civil Code 4360 has been satisfied. So, let's see, 2011. Yes, please.
I will read the resolution. Resolution 0125XX, revised resale inspection fees procedure. Whereas resale inspections are utilized to identify any damages, alterations, and/or modifications to the property for which the selling party may be financially responsible, as well as identify any necessary repairs, corrections, and/or replacements that may be the mutual's financial responsibility. And whereas the base rate for the resale inspection fees as established in Resolution 012428 will remain as approved and as followed. First inspection, $360. Re-inspection, if required, $60 additional dollars. Final inspection, if required, $110 additional dollars. Whereas Resolution 012428 did not provide the means for an annual review and adjustment as needed to keep pace with inflation, now therefore be it resolved January 14, 2025, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby revises the resale inspection fees to include a means for annual adjustments. Resolved further that the inspection fees will be calculated as the product of the estimated number of hours and the adopted bill rates and any unforeseen costs, then rounded up to the nearest $10, and that it be automatically updated annually using the new labor rates, and that each further charge will be billed separately. Resolved further that when a progress inspection is requested or when a request for final inspection fails, the member will be recharged or will be charged a reinspection fee. And resolved further that no fee will be charged for a final inspection if, after the first inspection, it is determined that there are no corrections for the member to complete prior to the close of escrow. And resolved further that the first inspection portion of the fees will be billed as a chargeable service to the seller on completion of the first inspection, and the reinspection and final inspection portion of the fee will be collected through escrow upon closing. Resolved further, Resolution 012428, adopted March 12th of 2024, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolved further that future revisions to the resale inspection fees will be included with the annual assessment letter packet that the Finance Department issues every year in November under the Architectural Review Procedures section of the annual policy statement. And further, that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. December was the initial notification. The 28-day notification for member review and comments has been satisfied according to Civil Code 4360. I move this resolution.
And a second? Okay, Tom is seconded. Right, should we vote?
Sue, can I have your vote, please?
Sue?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
And Vivian? Yes, okay. It's been passed. Thank you. Right, 11C, disciplinary update report. Hello, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So before you is the disciplinary update report. So the breakdown in your packets is the disciplinary cases for the months of October to December of this year. Did I lose the button? Oh, no, that's not mine. I'll put it up. The breakdown of the report that's before you is the disciplinary cases for the month of October to December of 2024. We started the month of December with 419 cases and ended the month with 309 cases. Overall, we did see a decrease in the categories of the violations of citations that were issued or disciplinary notices that were issued. Overall, alterations, maintenance, and standards did go down slightly. Animal nuisance also went down slightly. Clutter did go down significantly under all the subcategories. That's very common to the holidays and people being here and setting up their homes for visits, and likewise family members visiting here and helping out members. So we always do anticipate that trend to go down. We also anticipate that trend to go up as soon as the warmer weather starts and the spring starts, where everybody's trying to clear up their area in preparation for the summer. Delinquencies went down slightly, and then maintenance overall went down slightly as well. So that concludes my report, and I'm available for questions from the board if you have any.
Illegal occupancy went down a lot too. Is
Yeah.
it because of holiday season, people are not here much, or any trend for that?
It's not usually a trend. We just did notice as well that there were a lot more people who complied for illegal occupancy. We will monitor it for the next couple weeks and the next couple months to see if there is a trend that was created, and we'll report back to the board.
Okay. Thank you. Nancy?
Francis, I can't recall, but do we have some resource for residents to call or access for clutter cleanup assistance?
Yes. The Social Services Department, we work hand in hand with them, and they have a list of resources that they could offer residents for them to call and connect with either vendors or help or assistance of whatever they may need.
Might we ask media to put that in the Globe, but also in the Breeze?
I could do that.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Francis? No more questions. It's done. Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Thank
for
you.
your
You're
work.
welcome.
I do have a comment.
Oh,
So we should have an Easter cleanup then.
good suggestion. All right. We are now at new business, town hall meeting. Our director Costello is not here because she's on jury duty. Any person who wants to comment on town hall, anything like that? Yes, Nancy?
Yeah, I was there and stepped in. There were quite a few comments with respect to security, which we heard earlier this morning. Second was disaster preparedness, and really want to make sure that you have access to whatever it's actually being advertised on television, that you want to have access to information from the county more than from the village itself, because they will step in and take control. So those are the two principal things that were on everyone's mind, and it was really a full house.
What I observed, I already said the president's comment.
Well, and I will say,
Yeah.
the purpose of the town hall actually was to go over the paint options and discuss that. We didn't have the renderings, but the meeting evolved into quite significantly, obviously, about the fires. But also the other consideration was security.
Thank you. So we do not have any plan for next town hall meeting yet, since Jeannie is not here. If anybody has any good suggestion, ideas, please let us know. Okay, 13 United Committee reports. I'd like to have a 5-minute break, but you need to leave soon, right?
Well, I'm okay.
Oh, okay. Then why don't we take a 10-minute break? Bathroom break, please. Thank you.
We're in recess.
Yes. session. All right, our next agenda is 13, number 13, United Committee Report. A, Report of Finance Committee, and Treasurer's Report. Thank you.
Good morning.
Mr. Charlie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The financial report, this is for the November 30th ending. There we go. This is the financial report for the November 30th period. Okay, on the slide, we'll start here. Through the reporting period of November 30th, total revenue by United was 50.9, compared with expenses of 51.7. Left us with a deficit of $850,000. Next slide. All right. You know, as we're in finance, we're trying to keep a real eye on the operating portion of the financial results. The operating fund shows a deficit of $370 through the reporting period. This table shows how much of our reserve went into operations, with $23.1 million coming in from assessments and $1.8 from coming in from non-assessment revenue. This compared to operating expenditures of $25.2 million. All right. This slide has the table, takes full income statement and compares these results to the budget. We can see that United ended the period better than 1.1 million compared to any other funds. This slide here, this variance is, if you look back at last month, you'll see there's very little change in this. The employee is the same. Insurance has not changed. We had a little rebate that will be a talking point. Fees and charges for services and residents. We budgeted $4,000 per incident on this, and that was an overage abundant amount of money that we did. So we did not get $4,000 per resident improvement. We actually got, let's see, they have it here. I don't have that exact figure right now, but that's why that has a negative on it. Okay. Outside services, we've had to bring in a lot of outside help early this year, or last year, I should say, during the rainy season. The additional landscape further the variances has outsourced shrub bed maintenance, and they are getting to fill positions. We're going to see a change in this in the December report, I'm sure, because of the outsourcing that we're doing now for the golf course. Those employees have come over to landscape and maintenance, which is pretty nice. There was a total of 17 employees that were offered. 15 did accept positions, and I think hasn't been verified. I think 2 of those have left, but it's filled a good gap that we had, and they are still looking and working on replacing the open positions in maintenance and landscaping. All right. On this pie chart, we show the non-assessment revenues earned to date of $2.4 million. The revenue is organized by category, starting with the biggest revenue generating category, of course, fees and changes to residents, followed by laundry, leasing, processing fees, resale processing fees, and that our largest, as you can tell, is definitely the payroll. Next slide. Here we have the same thing in $2.4 million of non-assessment revenue as presented in the previous slide, and compares to the current year's budget and the prior year's year-to-date. Okay. Next. All right. Here we see the expenses and the dates of $51.7 million, showing that our largest categories, of course, that we just said, employment, related factors of property tax,
outsourced services, and insurance are our big ones. This shows the same, same one with comparison to the years past, going back to 23 and 24. Number 9. Our fund balances are shown here. The contingency fund balance on November 30th was $587,000. Contributions collected total of $139,000, and while no expenditures have been incurred during this period, a 2023 operating deficit transfer was approved by the board from the contingency fund to the operating fund in the amount of $742,000. The reserve fund balance on November 30th was $14.7 million. Contributions and investment revenue collected totaled 12.5, while expenditures were 13.1. Here again is the same numbers, their comparison, again with the different years during the history of balances the past 5 years, which has averaged $19.5 million. Here we see the illustration of the schedule of repayment from the temporary borrowing from the reserve fund. United has kept a close eye on the reserve repayment of borrowed monies from the reserve fund and has paid the balance in full as of October 31st, 2024, consistent with that with what was presented to the board in June. On November 12th, the board did approve an additional temporary borrowing from the reserve with full repayment scheduled no later than March 31st of this year. We have a table here that shows the resale history through November. As you can see here, I think it's very interesting. We have sold resales of, where'd it go? 325, which is 11 resales higher than the prior year for the same period. So the average year-to-date, and the average year-to-date price of United Mutual Manor is $394,000, which is $37,000 more than the prior year. Okay. Would you go on to the finance? Okay. The Finance Committee did have a meeting on December 4th. It was a good meeting. We had Steve Horoff came and explained a lot of the things that are happening on the finance that we're looking at right now. We're waiting, of course, for the end of year reports, which I think are going to be very, very useful. There are some revenue things that we covered with the Revenue Committee that I think are going to be beneficial to United, and I hope that we can share those as soon as possible. We did approve the recommendation of the $2 million, and that's for operating cost for this period and an ending for the end of the year. And I think they're doing a good job of wrapping up the year. Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
On page 10 of your slides,
Okay.
I'd like to ask for my clarification and those of us who need this information. Okay. Would you talk to me about contingency fund and replacement fund? First of all, what is replacement fund?
Program for appliances and so on and so forth.
I'm not hearing you.
That's a fund for replacement of appliances and those items and elements that we, United provides the co-ops for those still in the program.
Okay.
Yeah, basically,
So
it's a reserve fund.
Literally,
Yeah.
things to be replaced, correct?
Right.
But, well,
Those that
actually-
are still in the
no,
program.
No, no. It's reserve fund. I mean, we have 30 years reserve, right, so.
Okay, the
yeah.
replacement fund is part of the reserve fund.
It's not part of it. It's exactly a reserve fund.
Okay, well, so what is contingency fund on top of
Contingency
that?
fund is the fund that which is being kind of reserved or saved
Yeah.
in case of real emergency that is not showing on the budget, anything like that.
Okay, so I'm reading this chart correctly in that we have the total of the blue and the orange is what the orange is. It's not just a
Right,
little.
exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, right. Yes, Tom.
No, actually, the contingency fund is in the operating fund.
Yes.
And it's strictly for unforeseen expenses, but it's in the operating fund. As Mickey said, the replacement fund is the reserve fund.
Right.
So when you see contingency fund and replacement fund together,
Yeah.
that doesn't, they don't go together.
That's what's the
They're-
matter with my
Right.
brain. Okay.
They do not go together.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any more questions for Charlie? Okay, let's move on to next committee report, Architecture Control and Standard Committee by Director Willis.
Yes. Yes, the committee met on December 19th, and it meets on January 16th again at 9:30 in the boardroom. And I think at the last meeting, we had talked about the pallets, and we'll be continuing along those lines and some other new items.
All right, thank you. Next one is Member Hearing Committee by Director Carlson.
Yes, those are closed hearings, and they are meet and confers. They're disciplinary hearings, and there's adjudication of what is a United member's responsibility financially for an item or United's responsibility for an item.
Thank you. Continue on the Governing Doc Committee. Please.
Okay, the Governing Documents Committee met December 19th. We presented 2 resolutions at a town hall regarding the availability of resolutions to members. The committee directed staff to create a standard operating procedure and bring it back for review and consideration on social media and email address policy. We published member policies to remind residents of the rules and regulations. And we did that at a town hall. Personal items in common area, we're publishing. That's what we did at the town hall. And we're going to have it, it's going to be presented again on the website or online somewhere. And the clutter policy too, because those are the ones most often affecting our members. And they need to know what is bad and what is okay to do and how to report it. Thank you. Our next meeting is January 16th at 1:30.
Thank you. Landscape Committee, Director Kwam, please. Sue?
I'm sorry, I'm getting there. Yes, we meet on the 4th Monday of the month. And again, we'll be meeting on the 4th Monday of this month. We spent quite a bit of time going over the various reports so that new committee members could understand the various line items that we use. I hope that we get more members attending the landscape meeting. If they're interested, we'd love to have them. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And MNC, Maintenance and Construction Committee, we had met November 20th. And the items where we discussed were the wash and dryer pilot program. And one of the vendors, WASH, WASH, came and presented a possible program. And also we are going to invite more vendors next meeting, I believe, and so that we could probably pick and choose and do some pilot program. And also, we discussed annual building exterior paint program update. We have not yet decided, but we will present it. And SB 326 inspection, that was the reported, and we had some inspection done, and some of the structure, about 10 of them were repaired. So we received the report. And then Energy Task Force Committee, now we changed Energy Committee thing, but we had approved today. Well, December 16 meeting was canceled because we didn't have many agenda and Christmas time. So we will have next meeting on January 18th, I believe. Thank you. And then report of United Resident Advisory Committee.
That last met on January 9th, and the next meeting is on February 13th, and that's always on a Thursday at 4 p.m. in the Elm Room. So if you have anything that's fallen between the cracks that you need to see results on, then I suggest that you come, and maybe we can point you in the right direction or help you.
Okay, United Revenue Committee met on January 23, and we discussed 4 items which was presented from the last ad hoc committee, and we decided to continue on as a regular standing committee. And we kind of removed 1 item from the 4 items, and then we are continually working with our legal counsel and some of the people who are very, very helpful for us to do it. So very, very diligently working on some area that we could get some more revenues. All right, and next meeting is Thursday, January 23rd. A regular meeting is monthly, and usually after following United Agenda Prep meeting on Thursday. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to GLF Committee highlights. A, report of GLF Finance Committee, Director Tuning.
Yes, we met on December 18th. The major item that was discussed was a revenue ad hoc committee for GRF. There was quite a bit of discussion about it being a competitor to United's similar committee in that. And that was the main issue that was discussed, and I think the GRF board has acted upon that recommendation now. Next meeting's February 19th.
Thank you. Report of the Community Activities Committee, Director Kwam, Sue.
The Community Activities Committee met, and they had several discussion items. Some were whether or not areas in Third that are on GRF property trees should be trimmed and maintained. There was kind of a discussion back and forth as to whether or not it was needed or not. We decided to put it on a rotational basis, just as we do all the other trees in the village. So that was a primary thing discussed.
Okay, can you continue on GRF Landscape Committee, please?
She just did landscape. I think she missed COC.
No, CAC she did.
About trees?
Yeah.
Oh,
Few minutes
I'm
ago.
sorry.
Yeah. Oh,
She did landscape.
I did do
she did.
landscape.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. All right, now, community activities.
Okay.
Having a dyslexic moment.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm flipping pages as fast as I can. Can we move on to the next one, and I will get prepared for the CAC.
Okay.
Go to MNC.
All right. MNC committee met December 11th, and we had many, many discussions, and most of them are, new members, but they had PAC sound change order was discussed, and bench request in COLSEC 314, and Part 3 solar shade cover. It seems to me it's kind of simple item, but they've been, going back and forth. So, and then also EV charging incentive program, so on. So they will continue to discuss those issues. And date of next meeting is Wednesday, February 12th. Thank you. Let's go on to the Space Ad Hoc Committee, have not met, Nancy, right?
Well, actually, we did that as part of M&C, and the key thing there was to sustain the Space Planning Committee and also what to do with Building E to repurpose it. So those were two key things that we actually resurrected at M&C, even though we had a pretty new panel. And so that was, no action was taken other than to officially reinstate those by the committee.
Thank you. Report of Media and Communication Committee, Director Blackwell.
Thank you. We met on October 30th, and we haven't met since then, so the report is the same as October 30th, which we heard last month. And our next meeting is January 20th, which is next week. So we will have news for our next report. And
Okay, continue on
Thank
to
you.
Mobility and Vehicle Committee. Same, Maggie. Mobility and Vehicle.
Met in October. You want me to handle it?
I'm not on that
yeah.
committee.
Yeah, I will take that one.
Okay.
Yeah, it met in October, and so we've given reports since then. This is one that doesn't meet every few months, and there was really nothing to suggest an update.
Okay, Nancy, go on. Security and community
Security, I
access.
think we somewhat covered it today. I do notice that this is a meeting that was October, and the next meeting's February, and there's an inclination and a desire to probably have more frequent meetings on this because it's also security and access, and that's the development of the smart card,
Right.
which is really essential. So look for that.
Okay, thank you. Laguna Woods Village traffic hearing. Lydia, did you meet the Laguna Woods Village traffic hearing this time?
I will be attending the one.
Okay, but
I-
Maggie, did you?
I
get-
attended that one, and we did find several people guilty of the usual habitual running of the stop signs. It continues to be, we cannot be vaccinated against that, apparently.
Oh.
So that is really what we need. Thank
We
you.
could charge more than $1,000 fine. Okay, report of disaster preparedness task force. Georgiana?
Yes, the last meeting for that was November 26th, and the next one is January 28th. And at the last of that meeting, we had discussed the installation of an antenna and items related to improving radio communication within the village during an emergency, as well as looking at what was our responsibility and what would be the responsibility of the police department and stuff like that. And so we're looking at other things related to our responsibilities and filling in any gaps.
Thank you. Finally, report of the Information Technology Advisory Committee. Mr. Tuning, please.
Yes, the ERP system is in phase 2. I think you can expect to see that there'll be some schedule changes and cost overruns. That's kind of expected in this type of program, so I think we'll see an increase in dollars in the future. And I think you'll also see that there'll be more in-house work instead of outside consultants in order to keep the costs down. You also have a new website out there that's out there you can take a look at, and that's been finished. So,
Thank you. Nancy, question?
Question for Tom, Director Tuning. The focus this year is what? Project management or M&C? On the ERP?
Yes, the field services type of work in that. The main part of the financial's done, not that there's not more to go there, but you're correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Sue, do you have a question, comment?
Yes, I'm ready to report on the CAC.
Oh.
Okay, the CAC met, and some fun things are going to be happening that are very popular in the community. The Village Bazaar will be hosted Clubhouse 5 on January 25th at 10 a.m. And for the dancers in the community, there are 2 new classes. the return of Latin line dance and Polynesian hula. These are fun classes. I took the Latin line dance several years ago, and that was stopped, and they're restarting it. And then Everybody Loves Dolly Parton. And there's going to be a Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton tribute on February 15th at the PAC at 7:30. Golf maintenance is going quite well. And something that was controversial last year, it was relooked at, and that was the donation of cups for Clubhouse One at the Drop-In Lounge by the Korean Club. Those donations were accepted, and we appreciate their efforts on our behalf in purchasing that. The other thing, we met earlier this week, and one of the things that I really liked is that they're starting to ask the GRF committees about their 2026 capital requests. And we get to speak with them before it's just submitted to revenue, and then it comes back to us. So I appreciate that, because last year it seemed to me it was backwards. It went to revenue and then came to us for what we thought was needed. So if you have ideas on capital requests, please let us know.
Thank you, Sue. All right, item number 15, future agenda items. All matters listed under future agenda items are resolutions on 28-day public review or items for future board meetings. No action will be taken by the board on this agenda item at this time. The board will take action on these items at a future board meeting. There is none on the list. Is there anybody who has an idea for the future agenda item? No? Okay, let's move on. Director's comment, 2 minutes per director. Is any director's comment? Do you have any comment? Yes, Maggie?
Yes, I was rejoicing with the new 206 condominium blue book and started reading it immediately. And I found the most interesting page, 56, page 56A1, assessments and assessment collection, establishment and imposition of assessments. 1, power to levy assessments. An association is required to levy regular and special assessments sufficient to perform its obligations under the governing documents. It may also impose usage and service fees separate from regular or other types of assessment, as long as the amount of the fee does not exceed the amount necessary to defray the cost for which it is imposed. So this is our power. We are required by law to levy regular and special assessments sufficient to perform our obligations. So we do have the power to do that. The residents don't want us to do that very high or very much, but we must do what we must do to maintain a quality life in United. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy?
Ladies and gentlemen and members of the audience, the corollary to that theorem is we are working on revenue for United so as to help, 1, build reserves, and 2, have funds with which we can resource as opposed to just targeting members for that, and to purposely avoid special assessments. My second comment is, 1, is reminder, I think we've done 2 town halls on this in the last couple of years, on insurance. It's the word of the month. If you haven't applied for HO6 insurance, please do. Not only do you see what's happening in the world around you, the contents of your home are not covered by United or United's insurance. The structure is. Also, people come to member hearings pleading for a meet and confer for us to cover their personal possessions or that which they've caused. Please know that that is also a function of your HO6 insurance. It's really important, if ever, to be vigilant in securing that, and the time is ripe right now before everybody runs out of the state of California, which the insurance commissioner has, I believe, got an executive order where they can't do anything for a year on that. So take advantage of this open window opportunity in these disastrous circumstances.
Thank you. Any more comments? Marie?
I'd like to expand on Maggie's comment, the part about sufficient to perform our obligations. Therefore, as this board is the decision-making power, we need to focus on not making additional obligations which are not absolutely necessary on the first level to maintain what we have. On the second level, to improve our financial status. That is what you'll be hearing from me repeatedly.
Thank you. Charlie?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, the directors, for your comments. I think they're very, very thought through. I just want to, one thing I'd like to do going forward is thank the residents that did show up to the last Friday's town hall. It was a record crowd, and I think that many, many subjects were brought up that we will continue to focus on. One other item that I didn't mention on the Finance Committee, we are now going to meet once a month instead of once every other month. I think it is a priority, so we did talk about that, and we are going to start doing that. Our next meeting is Tuesday, January 28th at 1:30 p.m. Thank you all.
Thank you. Any more comments? All right. Thank you very much for watching and visiting. I meant, this is first meeting of the year, January, and I meant to say Happy New Year at the very beginning, but the thing is there are so many things going on, so I didn't want to have a long comment. So everyone, Happy New Year, and even though it is a time of many difficulties around us, let us be vigilant and happy, try to work hard for safety and better life in this community. Thank you. Now we are moving to have a recess for lunch and reconvene to executive session to discuss the matters, which is given by the Civil Code 4935, and we will reconvene 12:15, something?
You can do 12:15, it's fine.
Yeah, 12:15. Thank you.